something, I think, obviously, medieval is very typical for fantasy worlds, and I don't think anyone here wants to do that. So I was thinking, what if we went something like 18th century, maybe the Napoleonic era or Baroque?
Okay.
That'd be
So
different
if
for a
indeed
basis.
you were to go to this world.
Well, not necessarily this
Basis,
world, just
you have
maybe
an-
this world, maybe our own world, just that general atmosphere, that feeling, that basis.
It's gonna be hard.
This is an interesting idea.
Yeah,
One
pretty awesome.
approach that Stuart has mentioned now twice that he's interested in is creating an atmosphere. So this is an approach that you can go, what kind of atmosphere, what kind of general feeling, what kind of world view, what kind of tone will this world have? And you could think about with that first and then develop a world that fits that tone, or you could start with your world and then develop a tone from that. Yep.
Okay, so I have two things. Okay, so one thing back to like the hourglass idea or whatever, or something that she was saying was that like whoever is outside of it, like manipulating it, like you can, like if we do the thing where it's like, you know, utopia on top and then dystopia on the bottom, where it like trickles down and all that, but you can like flip it and then it all changes or turn it on its side and do all that kind of thing. And
So
then
like you can affect the people that were affecting you first. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying? Okay.
and then also so and I think that would create real conflict between the people because they wouldn't really know what was causing it. But and then anyways, and also last year in our world we didn't really get to do like a religion or something or some kind of spiritual thing. But I think that would be good to do in a world
Okay, why do you want to do religion or a spiritual thing?
because it has always interested me and I just like it.
Okay.
That's where we could include cults also.
Okay, let me see. Carla, do you
Also
have any ideas?
maximalism.
What are you thinking about back there?
Cryptoscantism.
What interests you that we've talked about so far?
I like the one with the alternate world view.
Okay, so our world but alternate history, is that what you're saying? Okay, what interests you about that?
It's kind of reminds me of communism, kind of not real.
Okay, so that's interesting to you, okay. And I want to hear from somebody else we haven't heard much from. You I haven't heard much from, and you I haven't heard much from, but I've forgotten your name. Who are you?
Luke and Jeff.
Luke. Jeff. Let's hear from Luke and Jeff.
Well, I was just thinking, we've got this, I've been trying to kind of connect everybody's ideas, and one thing that occurred to me was a snow globe world, in which the world that,
Because it's Arctic.
you know, everything takes place in is a creation of some higher being, right? And then with the higher being manipulates it, like.
Oh, what, like shakes it?
Well,
I'm not kidding. Is that what you mean?
I mean,
No, I think you could use that like
Shakes things
in like
up,
the,
literally.
I think you can put that into like the religious thing, like the people inside or whatever believe that it's like the spirit or whatever they believe in that makes the glass or whatever it shake or flip or turn over and do all that kind of stuff.
well, and I'm saying snow globe as an analogy, not
Sure,
we're
yeah,
actually putting people inside a snow globe.
Right, we could be literal or figurative when we're finally done, doesn't matter. And I think it's an interesting
Maybe what
approach.
shakes is the god.
Like a figurative clock.
Right.
Yeah,
But
there's
it's
all,
better
Better
shakes.
if it's actual.
When God shakes the Sogo, a terrible blizzard hits the world.
we could do all kinds of things. The possibilities are endless with what can happen with this particular kind of thing. I haven't heard from you yet. Jeff, right?
I really like the idea of like the whole world in a bottle idea, but and like the whole taking the hourglass and switching it around
Mm-hmm.
so that everything's reversed. But this is just an idea.
Yeah, these are
You
all
could
ideas.
maybe even take that a little further and like make a bunch of worlds connected, like a bunch of like bottle worlds, like a chemistry set, like glass tubes that connect them or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. So
It's really
this is another, so figuratively, a chemistry set idea of multiple worlds contained in some way, right? What would the relationship between these worlds be? The one thing that we have to guard against, and all ideas are good at this point, but the one thing we have to guard against is
Making
making
it
sure.
a bunch of different worlds.
Yeah, we need to make sure there's some serious intersection between the parts of this world, that it is still one world,
Which
okay?
is
So
part
we-
of why I wasn't sure whether I should share that.
No, I'm glad you shared it. Every image that we have, every idea that we have can bring us new ideas, okay? So if we had like a chemistry set kind of idea here, how would these things interact? So instead of thinking about it in terms of snow globe or what's this thing called? Hourglass. What if you thought about it in terms of a chemistry set? Let's pour this one into this one. What catalyst comes out? Let's heat this one up. What vaporizes? So it's also another interesting way to figuratively think about worlds and how they may interact. So yes,
Going back to the jar, and I really like the one vital thing missing. What if the vital thing missing is like fresh air or whatever, and the person that created the world is dropping in like air and chemicals and stuff to change the people, and maybe a couple people realize that they've been changed and they're trying to change it back.
okay. So you would have some kind of control that's treating this sort of almost as an experiment? Okay. You had your hand up, Ellen.
I guess I was thinking like what he was saying is, like, you know, the chemistry set or whatever, but how we were talking about earlier about having like things missing from the world, like you can have like one piece of the set that's mainly like a water-based world, and another piece of the set that's mainly like, you know, floor-based world, and the other one is like volcanic, and the other one's desert,
Mhm.
and do stuff like they're all, if you put them all together, you would have an entire world apart there.
Okay, so you're talking about this chemistry set idea of what we consider a normal world broken down into elementary parts.
Like separated biomes.
Yeah.
I have a
Separated
map
biomes?
explaining this.
Separated biomes. Now, we have to make sure we're careful here because each of these biomes needs to be developed, and we only have a week. So we have to limit
Split up into
ourselves.
groups of 3.
But that was just an idea, so. it doesn't
No,
have to be
this is good. All ideas are good. Stuart?
I guess playing off of that, if we're gonna have like, maybe if we did have different biomes and we had different planes, worlds, whatever,
Uh-huh.
and then you said you wanted them all to be connected, and then have something vital missing. What if each world has something very important, like that's missing or not in abundance,
Uh-huh.
and therefore they need to trade with the other worlds in order to get whatever they need?
And that's their relationship with each other.
It says that they depend on each other economically for resources.
Okay.
Would that be because of the biome, or would that just be because of another element? Like I would not be able to grow like, you know, corn in Arctic, so I'd have to trade with like plains. But then would that, or would it just be like there's spirits just eating up all of the food, so they have to trade with plains to get food?
I was thinking more of the biomes, but yeah, sure, whatever you want to go with.
So some sort of deficiency in some way that creates necessary relationships between the biomes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I liked all the ideas, but I just wanted to go on the alternate history thing. I think it would be like really cool, we could make it really cool science fiction type of stuff if we did the alternate history and things changed a lot and science just grew insanely and it was, we were like so much more advanced because of it. And
I would rather not have too much science fiction.
Okay, you would not like to have too much science fiction, so you're more interested in fantasy.
Yes.
Okay, like I said earlier, I think we can make sure, since you are the builders, we can create the interior of these worlds any way we want to. So there's room for all kinds of things. So good, and so more interested in fantasy, okay, yep.
Okay, I was just thinking. Oh yeah, okay, so back to the chemistry thing. When you were talking about like how like each one has a deficiency or whatever that they need from the other, but I think it'd be interesting if you had like each of them were like they're all next to each other. Like if you say you have like a set of 4, and so they're all placed in a set of 4, they're touching and they see each other, but they can't reach each other, and they know that they have this thing that they need, but they can't get it, or something. And then also another thing, as far as the alternate history goes, if we want to go somewhere with that, okay. I have concerns about it because I mean, I think it can be made to work, but I also feel like that's simple to do because it's based off of reality.
Okay,
And I don't want it to be like the easy kind of cliche thing. Like if we're gonna go with that, then we need to severely change things.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, like, things could be like insanely different, like,
Because some of what I like about this whole thing is you make the whole world. So if we're basing off a world that already exists, then I feel like I don't want to lose.
yeah, but it's almost just as
But
creative.
then we can make it so detailed because we have so much, because we already have a skeleton. We could really like make like the flesh and skin and be like, yeah, that's in great skin.
Yeah, but I do not want.
That is really yummy.
Or even if like we add in new things
you
and
don't
take
want
things
something
out,
based off of Earth?
stuff like that.
I do not want to work either. No.
Okay, let's keep generating ideas here, yep.
So one thing that,
Yep.
one thing that I've been thinking is, if it is, if each world is, an Arctic or a desert, it's not going to develop on its own. So we could have one, bottle of the chemistry set or whatever be a temperate, well climated thing. And that could be much, much more advanced than the other bottles
Okay.
of the chemistry
So
set.
they don't have to be equally developed, there could be
Right,
some
I mean,
disparities
Yeah.
Because
between
if you
them.
have, a
Especially with
world that's,
magic.
that's only Arctic,
Mhm.
then you're not going to have, steel and
Okay,
gunpowder.
okay,
Yeah, look at the wild thing.
okay. Stuart?
What I thought would be really cool is if we did something based on Victorian Gothic fiction. It's like, it's interesting just looking at the conflict between a scientific, logical, morally upheld, ethical world.
Okay.
You imagine like more advanced countries, and then you get the more mystical, kind of barbarous, crazy, debauched world in the darker regions, less advanced, more connected with nature and the mystical side. You think like you've got the gypsies with the exotic foreigners bring strange objects, and then on the other hand you might have the cities with the scientists and the priests.
Okay, okay. So I just wrote that out as, we've got the logic, science world versus a more mystical, barbarous world, and what could happen with these two worlds coming together, or interfacing in some particular kind of way. Okay, yep.
I just want to pose a question that we can just pass off as unimportant, but if we are a chemistry set, per se, who is, like, from what world is this person who's controlling us?
God.
But, like,
Maybe it's alternate
is
history
it
world
Earth
that's controlling
that they're controlling us from, or is it?
Worldception.
Think about it. Think.
I do.
Question though.
So that's a good question.
Actually, Jesse has an idea. Jesse, say
Oh,
what you said.
Okay, so I said, what if the person that's controlling the other chemistry steps is also in another bottle?